The puppy found on that cold winter night had a body like ice, but her heart was still beating. When Dr. Elena tried to save her, what she saw on the X-ray froze her blood. What did she find in this tiny puppy? And why did Hope's story make an entire city cry? The blizzard in Denver had been raging for 3 days. The temperature had dropped to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and the streets were frozen solid. Construction worker Mike Crawford was heading home from work, passing through the construction site on Colorado Boulevard. It had been the worst winter storm Denver had seen in 20 years. The city was essentially shut down, schools closed, businesses shuttered, and emergency services struggling to keep up with the demand. Mike was one of the few people still working, part of an essential crew trying to prevent water pipes from freezing in the new apartment complex under construction. He stopped when he heard a faint sound mixed with the howling wind. At first he thought it was just the wind, but when the sound continued, he paid attention. It was a very soft whimpering coming from under a pile of snow. Mike had grown up with dogs. His family had rescued several strays over the years, and he knew that sound. It was a cry for help. But out here, in this weather, it seemed impossible that any animal could survive. He began digging through the snow pile with his bare hands. His hands were numb from the cold, but he kept going. The snow was packed hard from the wind, making it difficult to dig. After a few minutes, he found a small brown and white puppy. The puppy was nearly frozen. Her body was ice cold, but she was still breathing, barely. Her lips were blue, and her tiny body was rigid from the cold. Mike immediately took off his jacket and wrapped the little one. "Easy there, little buddy," Mike said. "I'm getting you somewhere safe." As he held the puppy close, Mike was amazed she was still alive. He'd worked construction for 15 years and had never seen anything survive this kind of exposure. The puppy couldn't weigh more than 5 pounds, and her fur was matted with ice crystals. Mike's car was 100 yards from the construction site. He ran through the blizzard to reach the vehicle, slipping twice on the ice but managing to keep the puppy secure. He turned the heater all the way up and held the puppy in his lap. The puppy was very weak. She could barely open her eyes, and when she did, they seemed unfocused. Mike wasn't sure she would survive. He immediately headed to the nearby Mercy Veterinary Clinic. The wind was so fierce that Mike could barely see the road. Snow was hitting his windshield faster than the wipers could clear it. The roads were treacherous. He saw 3 abandoned cars on his 5-minute drive. But he drove carefully, knowing that this tiny life depended on him getting to the clinic safely. "Hang in there, little girl," he whispered to the puppy. "Just a few more minutes." The puppy made a soft sound, almost like she understood. Mike felt her tiny body trembling against his chest, but at least she was still fighting. He started talking to her continuously, hoping his voice would help keep her conscious. "You're going to be okay," he said. "Dr. Elena at the clinic is amazing. She saved my buddy's dog last year when everyone else said it was hopeless. If anyone can help you, it's her." Dr. Elena Rodriguez was on night duty at Mercy Veterinary Clinic. The 35-year-old Spanish-American veterinarian was one of Denver's most experienced emergency veterinarians with 15 years of experience. She had been working double shifts during the storm, as many of her colleagues couldn't make it to the clinic. Elena had seen it all: animals hit by cars, poisonings, difficult births, and countless emergencies. But winter storms always brought unique challenges. Hypothermia cases were often fatal, especially in small animals. Mike burst through the door, snow swirling in behind him. "Doctor, we have an emergency." Elena looked up from her paperwork and immediately sprang into action when she saw the bundle in Mike's arms. "How long was she outside?" she asked, already moving toward the examination room. "I don't know, at least a few days. She was under a pile of snow at the construction site. The snow was packed hard. She might have been there since the storm started." Elena rushed the puppy to the emergency room, her trained hands already assessing the situation. The puppy's body temperature was 89 degrees Fahrenheit, critically below normal. A normal dog's body temperature should be 100 to 102 degrees. Sarah, she called to her nurse. We have severe hypothermia. Get the warming station ready and prepare warm 4 fluids. And call Dr. Martinez, I might need another pair of hands. As Elena examined the puppy more closely, she was amazed at how small she was. She appeared to be only 8 to 10 weeks old, weighing maybe 4 pounds. For a puppy this age to survive 3 days in 5-degree weather was nearly impossible. You're a very strong fighter, Elena said to the puppy. I'm calling you Hope. Because you are hope itself. Elena immediately began checking Hope's vital functions. Her pulse was very weak but surprisingly steady. There was no respiratory distress, which was unusual for a hypothermia case. Most dogs in this condition would have irregular, labored breathing. The puppy's breathing pattern was unusual for a hypothermic animal. Elena had treated dozens of cold exposure cases, and something felt different about this one. Hope's respirations were remarkably steady, almost rhythmic. Sarah, let's get her core temperature up slowly, Elena instructed. Too fast and we could cause cardiac arrhythmias. Start with warm blankets and gradually increase the 4 fluid temperature. As they worked to warm Hope, Elena noticed something else unusual. Despite being near death from cold, Hope's gums had decent color. Her capillary refill time wasn't as bad as Elena expected. This was inconsistent with severe hypothermia. There's something different about this puppy, Elena murmured to herself, running her stethoscope over Hope's tiny chest. Sarah, who had worked with Elena for 5 years, noticed the concern in her voice. What is it, Dr. Rodriguez? I'm not sure yet. Her vital signs don't match what I'd expect from a puppy who's been exposed this long. Her heart sounds different. Elena continued her examination, checking Hope's ears, eyes, and mouth. Everything appeared normal, but that regular heartbeat kept bothering her. In a puppy this young, especially one in severe hypothermia, she would expect to hear irregularities. Mike waited anxiously in the lobby, his work clothes still damp with snow. He kept checking his watch and looking toward the examination room door. The secretary, Maria, brought him coffee and tried to reassure him. Dr. Rodriguez is the best, Maria said. If anyone can save that puppy, it's her. Hope's body temperature slowly began to rise. The warm fluid therapy and heating blankets were working. But when Elena listened to Hope's chest again after an hour of treatment, she was even more puzzled. The heartbeat was very regular, too regular. Usually, puppies this young would have slightly irregular heartbeats, especially after trauma. But Hope's heart was beating in perfect rhythm, like a metronome. Sarah, can you prepare the X-ray machine? Elena said. I want to check Hope's internal condition. Sarah prepared the X-ray room while Elena continued monitoring Hope's progress. The puppy's temperature had risen to 95 degrees, still below normal but no longer critical. Hope was starting to show more signs of consciousness, occasionally opening her eyes and moving her head slightly. Elena carefully placed Hope on the X-ray table. Hope was a bit more lively now but still very weak. As Elena positioned the X-ray equipment, she explained to Sarah what she was looking for. With severe hypothermia, we need to check for pneumonia, internal bleeding, or any other complications. But that heartbeat pattern is really bothering me. When the first X-ray was taken, Elena looked at the monitor and froze. What she saw made her unable to believe her eyes. There was a small, metallic object in Hope's chest cavity, positioned precisely where the heart's natural pacemaker would be. At first glance, it looked like a cardiac pacemaker. But this was impossible. It wasn't possible to implant a pacemaker in an 8-week-old puppy. Sarah, come here. Elena called, her voice filled with excitement and disbelief. Sarah ran over. What happened, doctor? Elena pointed to the monitor. Look at that image. What do you see in Hope's chest? Sarah was also shocked. This looks like a pacemaker. But how is that possible? I don't know, Elena said. But it's certain that this puppy isn't an ordinary stray. The object was clearly visible on the X-ray, a small, rectangular device with thin wires extending to the heart muscle. Elena had seen pacemakers in older dogs before, but never in a puppy this young. The device appeared to be about the size of a quarter, incredibly small for a pacemaker. Could this be some kind of birth defect? Sarah asked. No, Elena shook her head. This is definitely an implanted device. Look at the positioning, it's exactly where you'd place a cardiac pacemaker. And see these thin lines? Those are leads going to the heart muscle. Elena took several more X-rays from different angles. Each image confirmed what she was seeing. Hope had a sophisticated medical device in her tiny body. The surgical placement was perfect, indicating this was done by an expert. The surgical technique is flawless, Elena observed. Whoever implanted this device is incredibly skilled. This isn't something done in a regular veterinary practice. Sarah was studying the images intently. Dr. Rodriguez, look at this. The device seems to have some kind of serial number or marking on it. Elena adjusted the X-ray settings to get a clearer image. There were indeed markings on the device, though they were difficult to read on the X-ray. We need to find out where this puppy came from, Elena said with determination. This is either cutting-edge veterinary research or... She paused, not wanting to voice her other suspicion. Or what? Sarah asked. Or someone performed illegal experiments on this puppy. Either way, we need answers. Elena checked Hope's vital signs again. The puppy's temperature was now 98 degrees, and she was much more alert. Hope even tried to lift her head when Elena spoke to her. Well, little Hope, you're full of surprises, Elena said softly. Let's find out where you came from. Elena kept Hope under observation. The puppy was now in better condition and had even started drinking some water. But Elena's questions were multiplying. The next morning, Elena called her veterinary colleagues to discuss the situation. Dr. Michael Torres was a cardiology specialist. Elena, pacemakers aren't implanted in puppies, Michael said. These devices are usually used in older dogs and are very expensive. But you saw the X-ray, Michael. There's definitely a metallic device there. Then this puppy must be very special. Maybe she underwent experimental treatment. Elena called the veterinary medicine faculty at Denver University. Professor Janet Wilson was a veterinary cardiology expert. Professor Wilson, I want to show you a very strange case, Elena said on the phone. When Wilson examined the X-rays, she was very surprised. Elena, this device really does look like a pacemaker. But these kinds of devices aren't implanted in puppies. This is very unusual. Where do you think Hope might have come from? Most likely from a research center or university laboratory. These kinds of experimental treatments are only done there. Elena now decided to investigate Hope's past. She spent the rest of the morning making calls. Each conversation led to the same conclusion: this was unprecedented. No veterinary hospital in Denver had records of implanting pacemakers in puppies. This device looks like it's designed specifically for small animals, Professor Wilson had noted. The size and positioning are perfect. Whoever did this surgery was incredibly skilled. Elena examined Hope more closely. The puppy's surgical scar was barely visible, indicating expert technique. The healing was perfect, suggesting the surgery had been done recently, probably within the last month. You're full of mysteries, aren't you, little girl? Elena said softly to Hope. Elena called all the university veterinary departments in Denver. She spoke with Dr. Richard Hawkins at Colorado State University. Dr. Hawkins, I'm calling about a missing puppy. What kind of puppy? Hawkins asked. An 8-week-old puppy with a pacemaker in her heart. There was a long silence on the phone. Then Hawkins said, could you please tell me your clinic? I'm coming right away. 2 hours later, Dr. Hawkins arrived at the clinic. Dr. Amanda Chen and Dr. Robert Myers were with him. All three looked very worried. "Can we see Hope?" Hawkins asked. Elena took them to Hope's room. Hope could now stand and had eaten some food. When Dr. Chen saw Hope, she began to cry. "That's her. That's our Hope. You know Hope?" Elena asked. "Yes," Hawkins said. "Hope was part of our research project. But she went missing from the laboratory a week ago." Elena was shocked. "Was Hope a laboratory animal?" "No," Dr. Chen said. "Hope was much more special than that." The three researchers looked at each other, clearly debating how much to reveal. "Dr. Rodriguez," Dr. Hawkins said finally, "what we're about to tell you is confidential. Hope represents a breakthrough in veterinary cardiology." Elena leaned forward, fascinated. "Hope wasn't born in our lab. She came to us dying, and we saved her with technology that doesn't officially exist yet." Dr. Hawkins told Elena Hope's real story. Hope was born with congenital heart disease. When her owner Jessica Williams brought her to our clinic, Hope was dying. She was only 4 weeks old. Dr. Chen continued, "Jessica is a young student. She had no money for Hope's treatment. We offered Jessica an experimental treatment." "What kind of treatment?" Elena asked. "A miniaturized pacemaker," Dr. Myers said. "The world's first prototype designed specifically for puppies." Elena listened in amazement. "And did it work?" "Perfectly," Hawkins said. "Hope's heart was fixed. But the pacemaker was a very expensive prototype. Worth $50,000. Jessica took Hope home. But a week ago, Jessica called us. Hope was missing. Jessica had left her apartment door open, and Hope escaped." Elena understood. "And Hope got lost on the streets, nearly freezing to death in the blizzard when she was found." "Yes. Jessica has been searching for Hope non-stop since that night. She's devastated." Elena looked at Hope. This little puppy wasn't just an ordinary dog. She was a miracle of modern veterinary medicine. The implications were staggering. If this technology worked, it could save thousands of animals born with heart defects. "Dr. Hawkins," Elena said, "you realize what this means? You've potentially revolutionized veterinary cardiology." "That's why we need Hope back safely," Chen replied. "She's not just a pet, she's proof that this technology works." But Elena could see the emotional attachment the researchers had to Hope. This wasn't just about science anymore. Elena wanted to meet Jessica Williams. Jessica was 22 years old, a Colorado State University student trying to become a veterinarian. When Jessica came to the clinic, she was crying. "Can I see Hope?" she asked. Elena took Jessica to Hope's room. When Hope saw Jessica, she began frantically wagging her tail and running to Jessica. Jessica knelt down and hugged Hope. "I missed you so much, little girl," she said through tears. Elena told Jessica how Hope was found. Hope survived 3 days in 5-degree weather. "That's nearly impossible." "Hope is very strong," Jessica said. "When she was born, doctors said she wouldn't survive. But she kept fighting." Elena learned Jessica's story. Jessica's family was poor, but she was working very hard to become a veterinarian. She had found Hope on the street and started caring for her. "When Hope got sick, I was ready to give everything for her," Jessica said. "But I had no money. Dr. Hawkins and his team helped me." Elena was deeply moved. "Jessica, the device in Hope's heart is very valuable. How do you handle this responsibility?" "Hope isn't money to me," Jessica said. "She's my life." The bond between Jessica and Hope was obvious. The puppy stayed close to Jessica, occasionally looking back at Elena as if to say, "This is my person." "Jessica, can you tell me about the night Hope disappeared?" Elena asked gently. Jessica's face fell. I was studying for finals. I had left some textbooks in my car and ran down to get them. I was only gone for 5 minutes, but I forgot to close the apartment door properly. When I came back, Hope was gone. The guilt in Jessica's voice was unmistakable. Elena could see that this young woman had been torturing herself over those 5 minutes of carelessness. Finding Hope was joyful, but a new problem had emerged. The battery in Hope's pacemaker was running low. Dr. Hawkins explained the situation to Elena. Hope's pacemaker has a 3-month battery life. It's been in use for 2 months now. So in a month, Hope's heart could stop. Elena asked. Yes. And installing a new pacemaker would cost another $50,000. When Jessica heard this news, she was devastated. Where am I going to find that money? She asked. Elena thought hard. Hope's story was very compelling. Maybe people could help. Jessica, how would you feel about sharing Hope's story with people? Elena said. What do you mean? Social media, local news. If people hear about Hope's miraculous survival story, maybe they'd want to help. Jessica hesitated. But I don't want to beg for money. This isn't begging, Jessica. This is creating awareness for special animals like Hope. Elena began writing Hope's story. The moral dilemma was clear: should they publicize a medical breakthrough that wasn't ready for public release? But Hope's life was at stake. Dr. Hawkins, Elena asked, would sharing Hope's story compromise your research? Hawkins considered this carefully. Actually, it might help. If we can demonstrate public support for this technology, we might get funding for further development. The decision was made. Hope's story would be told. Elena shared Hope's story on Facebook. The incredible story of Hope, the puppy we found in freezing weather, she wrote. The first person to read the story was Mike Crawford, the worker who found Hope. Mike shared the story on his own Facebook. This is the puppy I found. She had an incredible story. Within 24 hours, the story went viral. Denver local news called Elena. Dr. Rodriguez, would you like to tell Hope's story on television? The news anchor asked. Elena agreed. She and Jessica appeared on television together. Hope was with them too. Hope didn't just fight for survival, Elena told the cameras. She lived a miracle of modern medicine and humanity. Jessica showed Hope to the camera. Hope taught me how precious life is, she said. After the television broadcast, Elena's clinic received hundreds of calls. People wanted to donate for Hope. The first day, $5,000 was raised. The second day, $15,000. The third day. The response was overwhelming. Elena had to set up a special phone line just to handle the donation calls. Local businesses began offering support. A pet food company promised free food for Hope's lifetime. A veterinary supply company offered free equipment for the clinic. But the most surprising call came from an unexpected source. Hope's story spread not just in Denver, but throughout America. Major news networks like CNN, ABC News, and NBC covered the story. Hope, the puppy with a pacemaker in her heart, has touched America's hearts, the CNN anchor said. Donations continued to increase. After 1 week, the total reached $75,000. The $50,000 needed for a new pacemaker had been secured. But the most important development came from elsewhere. Medtronic Corporation, the world-renowned cardiac device manufacturer, called Elena. Dr. Rodriguez, we heard about Hope's story. As a company, we want to provide free devices for Hope's treatment, the company representative said. Just this once? Elena asked. No. For Hope's entire life. And we want to develop research for other animals like Hope. Elena couldn't believe it. Hope had not only saved her own life but had become hope for other animals. When Jessica heard the news, she cried. Hope isn't just my dog anymore, she said. She's everyone's hope. The Medtronic representative explained further, "We've been looking for an opportunity to expand our veterinary applications. Hope's case demonstrates the viability of our technology in small animals. This wasn't just charity, it was a business opportunity that could benefit thousands of animals in the future. We want to establish a veterinary division," the representative continued. "And we'd like Dr. Hawkins's team to lead our research and development." Elena realized that Hope had just changed the future of veterinary medicine. Dr. Hawkins and his team implanted the new pacemaker in Hope. The operation was perfect. Hope's heart was now beating stronger than ever. "Hope can now live like a normal puppy," Dr. Hawkins said. "She can run, play, and be happy." Jessica took Hope home. But this time she would be more careful. Hope would never get lost again. Elena visited Hope at home. Hope had grown and was healthy and energetic. The tiny device in her heart had given her a second chance at life. "Hope's story changed my life too," Elena told Jessica. "How?" "I'm not just a veterinarian anymore. I'm a specialist in special cases like Hope. Medtronic wants to work with me." Jessica was happy. "Thanks to Hope, you also gained new opportunities." With the remaining donated money, Elena established a foundation for animals in need. Hope's Paw Foundation. The foundation's mission was clear: to provide advanced medical care for animals whose owners couldn't afford treatment. Within 6 months, the foundation had helped 50 animals receive life-saving treatments. Hope had become the symbol of hope for countless animals and their families. Jessica completed veterinary school and began working at Elena's clinic, specializing in cardiac cases for small animals. 1 year later, Hope was a large, healthy dog. Jessica had graduated from veterinary school and started working at Elena's clinic. "Hope didn't just teach me about love," Jessica said. "She taught me to never give up." Elena turned Hope's story into a book. Hope's Heart, A Miracle Story. The proceeds from the book went to the foundation's work. Hope was no longer just Jessica's dog. She had become a symbol giving hope to thousands of people. Every year on the day Hope was found, Denver celebrates Hope Day. People gather for animal rights and donate for animals in need. Medtronic launched the Hope Project, inspired by Hope's story. They're developing special medical devices for small animals. Dr. Hawkins described the project. "Hope showed us that no animal is too small. Every life deserves to be saved." Mike Crawford, the worker who found Hope, now volunteers at the local animal shelter. "Hope changed me," he says. "Now I know every living being is valuable." The Hope Project has led to breakthrough developments in veterinary cardiology. Miniaturized pacemakers, designed specifically for puppies and small animals, are now being tested in clinical trials across the country. Professor Wilson, who first examined Hope's X-rays, joined the research team. "Hope opened a door we didn't even know existed," she explains. "We're now able to help animals we never thought we could save." The technology has applications beyond heart conditions. Researchers are developing miniaturized devices for other medical conditions affecting small animals. If Hope's incredible journey from near death to becoming a beacon of hope for thousands touched your heart, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel. This tiny puppy proved that sometimes the smallest hearts carry the biggest miracles. Ring the notification bell so you never miss these amazing true stories that show us the power of never giving up. Share your own stories of pets who defied the odds in the comments below. Every miracle deserves to be celebrated and remembered.